Hi everybody, and welcome to my channel, Stitching with the Dachshund. Except for today, it is cooking without a dachshund. She's outside playing, and I wanted to share with you a wonderful recipe sent to me by Melanie from Yarns and Threads. She commented on my last video where I talked about sourdough starter and gave the little story about me at the fair where the lady gave a little bit of false information. And she said her husband got real vocal about it. And then she said he had a sourdough oatmeal recipe that he liked, and she shared it with me, or he shared it with me. And I thought, wow, what better way to honor the recipe and honor them giving it to me, because I'm big into cooking, and I just think it's special when we share our recipes, that I would prepare it in front of you. Now, I'm not going to do every little bit in front of you, so don't worry, it's not going to be a very long video. I am going to move the screen down a little bit so you can see the ingredients here. I am kind of squatting because I'm filming on my computer, because my phone and my computer don't want to talk to each other right now. So I'm trying to make do with the computer, which is going to be fine. I'm going to work out. It's going to work out just great. So I'm going to move the screen down so I don't get drunk here. Here we go. All right. What you see in here, I've already mixed it or blended it so you wouldn't have to hear the blender going, and I didn't want to sling stuff on my computer anyway. So in this bowl, I have creamed together a ½ cup of shortening, 1½ cups of brown sugar, and 2 eggs. And I've creamed it, and it's light and it's fluffy. Now the next ingredient that I am to add in here is the buttermilk and the starter. But I didn't have buttermilk, and I just decided today that I'm going to do this, so I didn't have time to go get buttermilk. But I did have coconut milk, so I'm going to use coconut milk. Don't know what kind of difference it'll make, but the recipe's title is actually sourdough oatmeal coconut cookies. I don't have coconut, but maybe the coconut milk will give it that coconut flavor. There we go. Let's just put that in there and stir it a little bit. Now, the starter that I'm using, because all in the recipe, and this is what you'll find common when you mess with sourdough recipes. Well, I'm going to say common. Sometimes it'll give you a little bit more information. But one of the things I teach in my sourdough class is it says ½ cup of starter. Okay, is that starter that's just been fed, starter that's been fed a couple of hours and set out, or starter that's right on the verge of needing the feed, getting this dome top right before the dome collapses? And that is actually the prime time to bake with starter. But this one says just ½ cup of starter, typical of what you hear. And I have my starter here. It had domed up overnight, and it had started to collapse. It hadn't collapsed all the way. So I'm going to go on and use this starter. And I will feed Sheila in a minute after I get through cooking, because that's one thing you do. You use your starter, then you feed your starter. It smells sourdoughy, wild yeasty. We're going to call it wild yeasty, because people get the idea that because it's called sourdough that it's really sour, and it can be. It can be very sour. That's the beauty of sourdough, is you are actually in control of it. I do not like a real sour sourdough. So I treat mine so that I don't get that. If I've got one of my friends, Stephanie, coming over, she loves it sour, then I will, and if I'm baking bread for her, then I will let it get a little bit more sour. Okay, you can see that actually is a pretty runny batter. Now remember, I've never made this, so this is the first time for me, first time for you. So I've added my buttermilk and my starter. Now I'm to add my dry ingredients and stir well. Now my dry ingredients are already mixed. So in here I have 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and ½ teaspoon of allspice. I did cut the salt to half because it just seemed like a lot to me, and not talking to the cook who's cooked this before, I wasn't sure. So it kind of scared me that it was 1 whole teaspoon. I hope I said teaspoon for all of those. It's all teaspoons. But it kind of scared me, so I cut it back a little bit. So I'm going to start adding this. I like to add a little bit, try to incorporate it. Try not to get too crazy though, because my computer's sitting right there and it's brand new, and I think I would be very upset if I did something crazy to it. So, a little bit at a time. You could, I suppose, use a mixer, but I've already took the beaters out and put them in the sink. So, and I don't want you to have to hear me do that. So this is easier. I think I'm gonna put the rest of it in there. That to the side. Oh, it smells good with that cinnamon and allspice in it. It's gonna be good. It's really absorbing a lot of that. Look what that was in there. And I just dig to the bottom so I can get all that flour that happened and went to the bottom out of there. No flour pockets, because worse than a flour pocket is a baking soda or baking powder pocket, and you bite into that in a cookie. Oh my God, that's awful. Oh, that looks good. I'm going to show that to you. Smells good too. All right, so our next step, I've now added the dry ingredients. I fold in the oats, the coconut, the raisins, and the nuts. Well, like I said, I don't have the coconut, but I do have the oats. And the amount of oats that you need is 1.5 cups. 1 cup of raisins. These are actually golden raisins. And then 1/2 cup of chopped nut meats. This is actually walnuts and pecans because that's just what I had on hand. So now I have all those in there. Oh, this is looking good. Of course, if Melanie watches this, she can have her husband look at it and tell me if this is how he does it, if this is how it looks for him. All right, I'm going to show it to you. That looks really good. You see that? You can see the oats. Still very moist. Oh, I wonder if the coconut would have taken up a little bit more moisture. I don't know. All right, Melanie's husband. Is that what yours usually looks like? Pop. So now I have this all mixed up. He suggests, because it's written in here, that you chill in the freezer for at least a ½ hour. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to chill it for a little bit, and then I will bake it for 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, or little. Let me start over. I will drop small gobs on a cookie sheet about 2 inches apart. I will then bake it at 375 for 10 to 12 minutes. So I'm going to do all that because you don't need to see that. But I will come back and let you see the done cookies. How's that? So I hope you've enjoyed this little segment. Hopefully you'll return to see what the cookies look like. And hopefully you'll just enjoy this on my channel. I'll be back. All right, here's something a little special for you. I had mentioned that it was time to feed Sheila, and that's my sourdough starter. She's in this jar right here. She's a little runny, you can tell. She's just, I'm gonna run it on my spoon a little bit. See, she's a little runny. Okay, she was fed. Now she's eating all her good food. If you think of it like teenage boys, or if you have children at all, when they come in the house, they eat all the good stuff, like, or what they think is good stuff, like the pizza and the pizza rolls and all of that. And when that's gone, what do they eat? So that's kind of how I think about the sourdough. Right now, she has come and she has eaten all the pizza and the pizza rolls. She's eaten all the good junky food, but it's not real junk food in there. But now, if she continues to eat, she's going to have to work a little harder. And it's just like your kids. All right, they've eaten all the fast food, all the stuff they can heat in the microwave. Now what do they have to do? Oh my gosh, they might have to really cook macaroni and cheese to get something to eat. So that's the point we're at. She's eating the stuff that she has to work for. So anyway, you saw how runny she is. And I don't worry about, every once in a while, I'll switch jars when it gets real crusty because it bothers me. But it is not bad for your sourdough to get a crust, because this is supposed to be glass and you can't even see through it because of the crust on it. There we go. You can see that I'm breaking it down a little bit. And that's just hard crust. It's okay. You can actually scrape that off and put it back in. It'll melt back down. Okay, so the first thing I do is I like to add a little water in there. Now, I do a maintenance feeding on her when I'm not cooking, which means I only give her a little bit of drink and a little bit of food. Because if you feed her what I would normally feed her, I'm going to have way too much sourdough to deal with. And I don't want that. So I do a maintenance feeding. Works fine for me. I have never had any problems. Now, she is as runny as water. Like that. So I'm going to add a little bit of flour. There is no measurements. You get cookbooks that tell you precise measurements. You can go by that if you want to. I don't have time for that. Get to know your sourdough starter. Once you know your starter, you know what she likes to be fed at, or he likes, whatever you want to call it, what she likes to be fed at. Does she like a lot of flour? Does she like it thick? What does she perform well with? Sheila here performs with best with a really kind of a thick mixture, which luckily, usually I have to add a little bit, mess with it a little bit more, but I'm kind of at the point where she likes it. So I'll show you. There she goes. See that gunk? Oh yeah. That's where she likes it. Now, since I built her up for the cookies, I'm going to let her sit out on my counter and she's going to do her thing for a while. And then I'm going to put her back in the refrigerator, because if you leave her out on the counter, you're going to have to feed her at least once a day, maybe more. If you put her in the refrigerator, the yeast and all that goodness in here kind of slows down and it takes a while. So you can feed her 1 week, 2 weeks. There's been times when I've been on vacation or I forgot about her or something, and all my tests that I did getting geared up for my class, I've left her for months. Got her out, poured off the hooch because I don't like the sour stuff. You can just mix it back in, but I pour it off. Stirred her up, fed her, put her on the counter. Back to life she came. Because when the yeast get into an environment where they're thinking they're going to die, they throw off the little spores. And so the spores are in there, and probably some still yeast are in there. But and now you've fed it, you open it up, it's opened up to air, water, food. It's going to grow again, and you're going to catch more wild yeast. They're going to be attracted to it and come on in there. So I wanted to take you along with my feeding of Sheila. So I will get off here again. I'll add this in there, and I'll see you back when I get done with cookies. Enjoy it. Hey, welcome back. Well, I got my hair put up because it got a little warm in the kitchen, but that's all right. And the cookies are done, and the house smells amazing. And I'm on the keto diet, so I can't eat one. But I guess the real test will be tonight when Cook's Guild is here and I hand them out. But I wanted to show you what they look like. They're gorgeous. All right, I'm going to move the computer down for you. What do you think of those? They look wonderful. You can see the cherries in them. See the oats in them. They smell great. Well, I hope you enjoyed me bringing you along on this little adventure. I might do some more when I get more sourdough recipes, or just do some other crazy stuff. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to let you go so I can start working on these and getting them loaded. Y'all have a great day. I'm going to smell these cookies and be sad for a while. Bye.